So I don't really make these type of videos often, but I kinda want to defend Noel as a character. She is a rather interesting character in terms of Tsukihime, and I think there's a lot more than people give her credit for. I also want to try and resolve some conflicts with her character. So please allow me to try to explain some of my reasoning for why I think the character is the way I think the character is. Let's begin. Each Tsukihime character has a common thing between them. They have something in their life that prevents them from living a normal life. Each heroine tries to hide whatever this thing is that prevents them from living a normal life. For example, Arcue's guilt is what prevents her from living a normal life. Due to the guilt that she has due to Roa, she doesn't try to have emotions. However, Shiki does his best in order to invoke all those emotions, whether they be good or bad. Mostly he does the good ones, but he tries his best to invoke all the emotions, even the useless ones. Ciel is jaded, petty, and prejudiced. This is due to her reincarnation where she cannot die. She views her body as a burden and she can't be happy about it. So she tries to put on a mask that makes her seem like a good, righteous person, when in reality she isn't anything like that. For Akiha, it's her fear of her shortened lifespan. She uses her sense of responsibility to hide not only her shortened lifespan fears, but also her fears of her feelings for Shiki. Hisui has her survivor guilt. This causes her to cut off her emotions, similar to how Kohaku had her emotion cut off, to numb the pain. Kohaku has her happy-go-lucky personality that Hisui used to have in the past. She uses this to hide her pain from all the, bad situations she was in. I say all of this because Noel has traits from all the characters. Noel is jaded and prejudiced just like Ciel, deeply angry at the world similar to Kohaku, believes she must be pure similar to Hisui, betrayed by someone she believed had her back or had feelings for her similar to Arcueid. Finally, she has a sense of responsibility similar to Akiha. However, this last one is a bit weird considering that she usually complains about her job a lot. This doesn't mean that she doesn't have a sense of responsibility. In fact, she does. She does take her job as a teacher seriously. To a certain extent. She actually does love spending time with the students. Which then leads me to my next point. Tsukihime villains may seem like they have nothing in common, like for example, Nero Chaos, Washia, Roa. None of them may seem like they have a common thread, or even quite Coma, but they all do actually have a common thread with each other. This common thread being their lack of care for other human beings' lives, or really any living being's lives. This is somewhat the case with Noel. Noel has no care for human life, or for vampire life. She will kill any humans that associate themselves with vampires, as well as kill anything that is a vampire, no matter how close or how long ago they turned. But another thing about these villains is that they all happen to do mass killing in some type of way. Noel is kind of the exception. It's weird to call her a villain, also weird to call her a hero. When Natsu designed her, he said that he didn't want her to be confused with a protagonist. She's a character who can never be a protagonist. That was his line for writing the character. Whether or not how true that line is up for debate, as some may say that Noel can actually be a main character if someone really wanted to write her in that position. This then brings me to my next topic that I wanted to talk about. The character that Noel actually resembles the most, that I found the most common thread with, isn't the heroines, isn't really the villains, but Shiki Nanaya himself. For example, their backstory. Both characters actually ended up being the only survivor from a mass killing, from a person that they absolutely fear. Both characters are rather weak as well. Noel is a frail person considering she is in the executioners, which is full of monsters, mind you. Whereas Shiki, who has the death eyes, is rather strong, yet his body is frail and weak. They both have a lust for killing people, whether or not it be human or vampire. They don't really care, they still kinda get off of it. I find this to be rather fascinating, as why would Natsu actually have these two characters parallel so much? Why have Noel parallel other villains as well as other heroines? Why, oh why, would he do all this for a character that he has no intention of writing a root for, right? But the main difference between the two is Noel won't hide behind a mask most of the time. She'll happily take it off and be real with people, whereas Shiki will try his best to submerge himself into the mask, even making it worse by just constantly hiding how messed up he is. I think their biggest relation is actually the fact that no one can really help them. They're on their own roads of destruction. Shiki will always be on the road of destruction and self-sacrifice, whereas Noel will always be on a road of destruction because she'll always be the bottom of the totem pole. These two can have a bond with each other that can actually help them in a way that no one else in the story can. This is somewhat similar to Sion in the Meltyblood series originally, but Sion kinda got shelved early off. So, you know. I want to talk about Noel Crimes, really why exactly people have a problem with them. So first off, we have her, killing humans and vampires. The one that are freshly turned that she doesn't really care about. Her reasoning is this, that anyone who helps a vampire should be killed. Anyone who aids a vampire should be killed. Anyone who is a vampire, even in the slightest, who are starting to turn, should be killed. As cruel as all that sounds, is she wrong? Vampirism isn't something that can be cured. In the previous timeline, Sion couldn't even cure it. So vampires are freshly turning, or vampires in any slightest way, as long as you know and confirm that they are turning to a vampire, which Noel does, then it's not really wrong for her to kill them. Now, is it wrong for her to torture them? Yes. Yet vampires would do the same. It's not like we don't have examples of freshly turned vampires torturing people, enjoying people's anguish. In fact, we have a very person that actually did this to Noel. Ciel, when she was quote-unquote possessed by Roa, actually enjoyed it and was in somewhat control. This is something she even mentions, that Roa doesn't control people, he influences people. So when you look at someone like Ciel, who acts so saintly, who acts so goody two-shoes, you also would believe that all vampires are the same. So that explains the mindset for vampires. What about humans that help vampires? Well, as cruel as it is, I can actually explain this one. Even though we have Shiki and Sion who happen to help each other in a non-destructive way that harmed other people, that was such a rare case. It's not the normal case. In fact, it's such an enormity that I think only Sion and Shiki would actually be able to do that. So how do humans help vampire normally? Well, remember the humans that were pushing people down a well when Bulb was hidden? Yeah, they would just constantly feed him. Basically murder. Is that any right to do? It's not. So what Noel is doing technically is right. As much as you may think it's wrong, it's right in the sense of, well, if they're gonna harm more people, then they should be stopped. Now, does this completely justify her actions? No, not in the slightest. But this does give reason to them. Not only that, but we can understand her mindset. We can understand where she's coming from, and when you think about it, you can understand why she believes she's right. Her second quote-unquote crime is against Shiki. When she calls out Shiki for being Roa, she's actually right. And I've seen a lot of people debate about this. And what a lot of people debate is that, well, she unjustly attacked Shiki and Ciel. Except she didn't. She had evidence. Not only did she have evidence, but Shiki himself became more rare after his meeting with Noel. So why exactly is it wrong for her to attack Shiki? She was right in every sense of the way. Ciel was actually just wrong in that situation. In fact, Ciel was so wrong, she ended up hurting Noel deeply instead of taking her easily. She didn't have to worry about killing her. She didn't need to grow a key into her shoulder blade. She could have just, well, made sure to make her stop fighting. It wasn't something that she couldn't stop her from doing. She could have easily stopped her from fighting, but Ciel took extreme measures. Again, this doesn't fully justify her actions, but this time I say that she wasn't in the wrong for what she did there. Yes, she was wrong in the fact that Shiki wasn't the elder son of the Tono mansion, but everything else clicked then. Roa wanted to be born into a luxurious home with rich people. Check. Magic circuit. While Shiki has bizarre magic circuits, they are extremely good. And plus he has high potential with his eyes. He falls into all his categories without actually being Shikitono. But the actual reason that Shikitono lost Roa is because Shikitono died. And Roa died in his body. So Roa ended up going to his next closest link in the last ditch effort. But that person was Shiki Nania. So Noel was right either way. Yes, we had perspective, but at the same time, she followed all the clues and it all led to him. What does that say about Ciel, who ignored all the clues and still tried to defend him? In conclusion, I think Noel is such a fascinating character and one of the best additions to the remake in general. I think it's really weird how she holds all these traits from the heroines as well as the villains, yet a lot of people just take her as a villain as well as a villain of Ciel Route. When in actuality, she kinda is the heroine of Ciel Route. One day I'll actually talk about Ciel Route in the remake and how it kinda is while it is a good route, it's a terrible route for Ciel. And why I don't really like the remake Ciel. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys actually disagree with me, then please comment below. Or if you also want to talk more about this subject, then please also comment below. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.